Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today I am talking a little bit deeper, a little bit more about Dynorphia. This is a really interesting deck to me. Honestly, the first time I saw the reveal from Battle of Chaos, I said, oh yeah, like it's a gimmicky deck. Ooh, pay your life, half your life points, like every time you activate one of the cards in the deck. Sure, it's gimmicky. It's gonna lose some duels for free, but like it's fine. And some of the cards were legit, but honestly, I didn't give it the credit it deserved because all it got was 2 cards revealed for Dimension Force, right? Isn't that the name of the next set? And the deck went to a whole nother level. And I even had people in my comment section telling me even before Dimension Force that the deck actually is already something interesting. And you know what? I agree. I'm with you. I'm with you now, and I wasn't before, and I'm kind of sad I wasn't before, but watching some replays, watching a lot of like what the deck can do, and now with the new cards, like legit powerful win conditions and ways to get to them consistently. Yeah, I think this is like a legit deck. And I don't know about tier 1, but I think about Altergeist and where Altergeist is right now. I think this deck kind of feels a little bit like that, but maybe even better going second because they just have like a trap card that they can resolve and like it gives them immediate board presence. I don't know. So just real quick, if you don't know much about the archetype, they've got 2 main deck monsters, and that is it. That is the one thing I would say at this point that I would like to see is maybe 1 or 2 more main deck monsters. I don't really care about spells. All the rest is traps and fusions. Their fusion cards are traps, so I like that. I don't mind that it's a little slower because you play cards like Torrential Tribute, you play cards like Solemn Strike, cards that are like good traps playing into boards, maybe even Broken Line, maybe as even a side deck card for when you know you're going second. Like you can break boards going second with traps in 2021. It's just how the deck works. But Theresia is like the best main deck monster for sure. It's kind of like a Marionetter, sets one of the archetypal traps. And also if it's destroyed, it can summon a level 4 lower Dynorphia monster from grave. Downside is there's only one other level 4 lower Dynorphia monster, and that's Diplos. He's fine as well. When he's summoned, he can Foolish Burial any Dynorphia card, and that's actually pretty good because it can get certain traps in grave. So listen, all your traps, when they activate, that you pay half your life points as cost, and that's kind of scary, right? But all of the traps also have graveyard effects. I believe the normal traps have effects that say if you would ever take effect damage, they can like banish themselves to keep you from taking effect damage. And I think the counter traps in the archetype say if you would ever take battle damage, you can like banish them to save yourself from battle damage. That's huge. I think that one more so to me is huge. I guess the burn thing still matters. But you look at like Sky Strikers just making Hayate. Can't let that happen or you lose. Any deck that plays Zeus probably plays an Exceed monster that can attack directly. Can't let that happen or we lose, right? So just having nice, easy, and archetype ways to send those things is really, really nice. Or stuff like Prank Kids, who just have like Lampseas to burn you, and just to be able to stop that stuff is also really nice. So yeah, I like that the deck has, while it has that gimmick that is scary, and like you got to be careful. You can't let yourself slip up and give your opponent an opening to poke, because that is when you're going to lose stupid duels. And so it is going to take careful, meticulous duels, I think, to play this deck effectively. But I do think in the right hands, I think this deck is probably better than Altergeist. Maybe. But I think it's like close. It's in that range as far as like a good trap deck, heavy trap deck. This guy also has that same effect. Like if he's destroyed, you can banish any trap from grave to summon a Dynorphia from grave. But it's level 4 lower, so it can only summon Theresia. So I don't love that. It makes me wish that we had a couple more level 4 lowers. And also don't forget we have Fossil Dig to search these cards out as starters, which is good consistency stuff. Then for the extra stuff, you've got obviously Kentragina. This is a really good card because it can banish any of your Dynorphia traps in grave, and then it pretty much just applies that effect. That's really, really cool because there's like a Dryadent type of effect. There is 2 different fusion effects, so it's just a good extender, and it gets big, and if it's ever destroyed, it can just summon a level 4 lower Dynorphia back from grave. So they all float, which means it's very hard for your opponent to actually get at your life points via the battle phase, which is huge. Stealth Baggy is interesting as well. If your life points are 2,000 or less, it makes it so you don't have to pay life points to activate your traps. That's not really a huge deal, to be honest. I'm more so interested in the other effect where if your opponent activates a monster effect, you can inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. That is not once per turn. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that one is a once per turn. Because this, yeah, okay. So that one is a once per turn. But just slapping this card on the field and like your opponent wants to activate a boss monster effect, boom, ding them for 3,000, or a starter effect, 1,500, 2,000, whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean? You're dinking and dunking, and it's helping you get them closer to lethal as well. And of course, the float effect. And then for the traps, you've obviously got this bad Mamma Jamma. This can actually fuse using stuff straight from the deck, which is actually really nice. And yeah. And then obviously has the protection effect to save you from card effects from your opponent. Alert is also decent. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's decent because it can summon 2 Dynorphia monsters from your graveyard whose levels equal 8 or less. But the problem with this card is it takes so much setup. You have to get Theresia and Diplos engrave, and so this is one of those cards where I'm like, maybe this card becomes a little more interesting if they have 1 or 2 more main deck monsters and they're really good at setting up in the grave, but until then, obviously, it's not good enough. But I love that they have effects on summon, so like if you summon both of these back, you get a set for another Dynorphia trap and a Foolish Burial here, which maybe if we got another monster and it has a graveyard effect, boom, add that to the utility of the deck there and the power of this card for sure, which would be nice. Brute, this card is kind of like your Dryden. You have to pay off your life points, then you destroy a Dynorphia monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls. That's non-targeting, by the way. That's pretty sweet, and since your whole archetype floats, destroying your Dynorphia monsters is actually not too bad. I really like that card. I also like Sonic a lot. This is a spell and trap negate. And then you have to destroy a Dynorphia monster you control. Again, they all float. I don't care. But the spell and trap negation is huge. The fact that this is very accessible in the deck is just awesome because a lot of trap decks just lose to stuff like Evenly, Lightning Storm, Harpy's Feather Duster. So just having like an in-archetype like playable card that's already like essentially for that specific instance 3 Solemn Judgment, I'm with it, like for sure. And it's more searchable than Judgment. There's some other cards too. This one's okay. Reversion is not my favorite. So when this card is activated, if you control a Dynorphia fusion, you pay off your life points and banish any counter trap in your grave, and then this card's effect becomes that effect. It's kind of awkward. It takes setup. I don't love that. Trap's already slow enough, and to also have setup is kind of bad. But I don't think it's like a garbage card overall. It's just something to keep in mind. Like theoretically, you could like Solemn Strike and then use this as long as you control a Dynorphia fusion to like essentially Solemn Strike again. So that's like whatevs, cool. And then for the 2 new cards we've gotten, Rexterm is an amazing win condition, like absolutely amazing. Your opponent can't activate the effects of monsters they control with attack that is higher or equal to your life points. So again, that gimmick now becomes like a legit win condition now. You want to get yourself pretty much 1,000 or lower because for most decks, that's literally going to say you're just under skill drain now. Yeah. And I believe monsters they control also applies to your opponent's hand. Don't quote me on that, but I think control means on field and in hand. I'm not entirely sure about that ruling, but if it is, it means they can't even activate monster effects in hand. It's not even just on field. It's they can't even activate effects on field or in hand of anything that's like higher than your life points, and that's crazy. He also has other effects. He still floats just like the rest of them, but also as a quick effect, you can pay off your life points. Which one? He already has another effect that helps you cut your life points in half again, which means even with just 1 fusion card to summon him, your life points would be paid in half to go to 4,000. And then on the field, this guy can use his effect to pay another 2,000. And now you're at 2,000, which isn't as low as 1,000, and that's definitely better to cut off a lot of engine cards. But a lot of decks just means their win conditions are going to be skill drained, right? And this is a card that cuts, by the way, the actual effect of this card. I just said the cost pretty much and why the cost is awesome for this card. But it's pretty much going to take all The attack of all face-up monster your opponent controls become equal to your life points until the end of this turn. So it automatically makes every monster on your opponent's field attack equal to your life points, which is crazy, and also almost going to guarantee that he is bigger than them, so they can't even try to swing over him if they wanted. This card is insane. This card is a crazy win condition, and a lot of decks are going to fall victim to this. I guarantee you that. And the last card is like a second fusion trap, but it's like even better than the first one because this card can fusion summon, but not just by sending from deck. You can also send from extra deck as material, which is huge because Rexterm actually takes a Dynorphia fusion as material. So while the other one summons can send from deck, the other first fusion we get, we would have had to like already fusion summon a fusion monster and then fusion again, sending that fusion monster. But this card allows us to just bypass that and just send a fusion from our extra deck just to plop this boy out. So we have very easy access to our boss monsters, very, very strong win condition in Rexterm. Kentragena is also really good at just getting utility every turn by banishing your traps, and everything freaking floats. So I love where this deck is going. Again, it's literally just going to come down to, as far as future support, give me one or two more main deck monsters. That's all I want. Level 4 or lower, make them decent. Maybe give one like a solid graveyard effect or something. And I'm in there like swimwear. So we'll see. I'm honestly, I just want to make this video because honestly, in the other videos I made when I reviewed these cards, I kind of undersold them. And now I'm actually very excited to play it. So it's one of my really hyped archetypes that are coming out for me personally. Like this may be a main I have for a good little bit in Yu-Gi-Oh, but we'll obviously see when that drops. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Sorry if I'm just rambling about an archetype I like and it's not the most interesting thing. I'm kind of just going over their cards, but I really felt like this archetype deserved its due diligence with me kind of just playing, just lowballing it and not giving it the credit it deserves, because I do think it's going to be a legit threat in Yu-Gi-Oh, especially after Dimension Force. But that's going to do it from here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not yet and you want to see more stuff from your boy down the line. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.